YouTube, what's up? Today we're going to take a look at playing reggae. And there's really only a couple key things that you got to take a look at. And then once you get those in place, you're pretty much off and running with most of the reggae tunes. We'll talk about some variations on the rhythms, we'll talk about the chords, and then you guys are off and running with it. So let's dive right in. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about playing the chords. You're going to mainly use just your basic bar chords and then strip those down. Now, anything other than that will be kind of up to you and your ear and what you want to do. So the first things first is just your basic bar chords. So if you don't know those, I'm not going to go too in depth in those here. You can download the Learning Guitar book, the beginning book. There's a section on bar chords and how you play them. But let's dive in and take a quick look. So your bar chord enables you to take your open chord shapes and move them around. So we're going to take this E shape and replace your nut with your index finger. The other fingers move up and form that E shape off of that E chord. What's up? Like so. And then you have a movable chord shape. It's named by whatever fret you're on here. We're going to move up. Let's move up to A. We do a lot of stuff in A, but A is kind of right in the middle of the neck. It's easy to remember. So let's move this chord up to A. F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Then we go to A major chord. Now if we take your root 5 chords, we call them, because we name them by this 5th string, we're going to take the A shape, do the same thing with it. Move these up, take the first finger to replace the nut. So now we're going to take the A chord shape of root 5, and we're going to move that shape up, replace the nut with your index finger. Okay? So it's B flat, B, C, C sharp, and then we're up here on D. Now notice this shape right here is keeping in consistent with the open chord shape I played down here. What I usually do is I'll switch and play this with my 3rd finger. Sometimes my pinky, it just depends. Me as I get older, sometimes my hands get tired, they hurt certain things I do, so I'll switch them up. So, and that's up to you what you want to do. But 9 times out of 10, I won't do this for very long because it'll hurt my hands, so I'll switch to this. We're playing these 5 notes out of this chord. Okay, so and in this chord will be moved up 2 frets to here. In this position, it's a D major chord. We go up 2 frets, D sharp, E, and then that's the next chord. That's referred to now with those 3 chords: the 1, the 4, and the 5 from the key of A. Here's your A scale: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. The first chord, the 4th chord, and 5th chord are all major triad based chords. So that's just a little bit of music theory for you, but just remember, we're going major, then we're going across, and then we're going up 2 frets to play the other one. Okay? A, D, E. And we'll use those 3 chord shapes for this whole lesson. If you want to change keys, start here and do the same thing. 1, 4, 5. Okay, you're going to do B flat or something. 1, 4, 5. Okay, that's all we're going to do. We're going to keep it simple and focus on the rhythms and stuff. Later on, we'll look at stripping these down also. But let's take a look at your basic reggae type rhythms first, and what you have to do to pull most of these songs off. Alright, now we're going to get into the rhythms and what you have to do to play these reggae tunes. And for those of you that don't know, I would imagine everybody knows, but when we're talking about reggae, we're talking about like Black Uhuru, Steel Pulse, of course Bob Marley. Everybody knows Bob Marley. That style, okay? So what you're going to have to do with these bar chords is you have to get used to playing off of your 8th notes, and you're going to have to practice resting on your downbeats, okay? You're gonna rest on your downbeat, and then your rhythms are going to fall on these upbeats in between. So if we have, I'm going to get ready to tap my foot here. So if we have a rhythm that goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Those are your 8th notes, but what we're going to do is we won't play beat 1. We're going to play the ands. We're going to play all the upbeats in between. So we'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Those are the beats that you're going to play when you're doing reggae stuff. Now, whether you do an upstrum or a downstrum just depends on what you're doing in the song. If you want those stabs to be a little bit harder, you want them to be softer. If you want to hear these high strings first, then you're going to go up. But just remember, you're playing on the upbeats, all the ands, not the downbeats. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's your basic rhythm. Okay, now what I'm doing with my left hand is I'm not pressing the strings all the way against the fret wires, because then you're going to get like that. And usually what happens is the guitar is way more percussive when you're playing reggae per se than when you're playing, you know, some other styles. So you want to hear the chord, but you don't want to hear it like that. It needs to be a staccato style, choppy, in other words. Really, really strict, choppy, just chink on the guitar, okay? That's what you want. So you press them down, but not hard enough to be all the way against the fret wire. You want to hear the chord, but you don't want it to ring out really big. It needs to be short stabs. And then once you have the pressure, you can always let off in between so you don't hear them. And it's hard for you to see that on this camera, but I usually will press, play the chord, and let go. So press, let go, press, let go. Okay, I'm exaggerating it so you can see it on film. It's hard to see, but that's what you're doing, is letting your left hand cut it off. So once again, you're playing eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. That's your basic rhythm. Now, if we go through the 1, 4, 5, you'll have your switch. Usually, now this isn't in every reggae song. You're going to vary this according to the song you're playing, or if you're writing. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, a whole measure on your 1 chord. The next measure is going to be split up. 2 beats on your 4 chord, which is this D, and 2 beats on the 5 chord, which is your E. Okay? So let's start back over again. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that's what you want to start practicing to get that down. Just getting used to playing the upbeats. If you're tapping your foot, the upbeat is when your foot comes up. The downbeat is when your foot is down when you're tapping. Okay, so just remember, you can just sit at home. You don't even have to be plugged in. You can sit at home while you're watching TV or something and just tap your foot and hit those chords every time your foot comes up. Just hit the chord. Every time your foot comes up, hit the chord and get used to that. Okay, so practice that. When we come back, we're going to take a look at a variation of that rhythm that you guys can practice once you have this one down. So go ahead and practice that. Come back and we'll take a look. All right, everybody. So now the next thing is to vary that upbeat. So what we're going to do now is we're going to split the upbeat in half to where you have 2 16th notes. So it'll be 1 bump bump 2 bump bump 3 bump bump 4 bump bump. Okay. So let's practice it. We'll take just the A chord and we'll practice it. I'm doing all this slow because there's no reason to speed it up and play it sloppy. Play it slow, real precise. Then you can speed them up. You guys that are wanting to play more ska type stuff or fishbone, then take these rhythms and practice them slow and nail them. Then later on you can speed them up. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what I'm doing is on the downbeat is 1, okay? On the upbeat is those 2 16th notes, and I'm going down and up. Instead of going bump, bump with my hand going 2 downstrokes, I'm going down and up, okay? The left hand's doing the same thing. You're keeping it choppy, real muted, not to the point where you only hear that, and not press down all the way to where you hear that. You've got to get your fingers on the chord pressed in between so that you can hear the chord stabs, but just not too overpowering. Okay? So let's try that again, where we're taking the A4 measure, D for 2 beats, and then E for 2 beats. Okay? So 4 beats, 2 beats, 2 beats. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So now, when you practice that, don't get in a rush. Try to keep everything real precise, and as you get it down, you can vary what you do with that. If you want to put other things in between those notes, you can do that. If you want to go through and let some of the chords ring out, it's totally up to you and your ear what you want to do. This rhythm is pretty close to Stir It Up from Bob Marley. So if you go listen to that, this is pretty much what that song is. So practice that and get it down really good, and you'll see that you'll have a handle on a lot of the reggae tunes by getting used to playing those upbeats, okay, instead of tackling the downbeats. So you guys practice that, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at these chords and some changes we can make to them to make it a little bit easier to get around. All right, so have fun, and we'll see you in just a bit. Okay, so now with me, a lot of times if I'm playing, especially cover bands and stuff where you got to do a couple of sets in a row or whatever, if your hand starts to get tired, it's a good thing to know how to strip your chords down so that you can still keep playing. So this happens with me a lot. I don't always play big chords. It depends on the group too. If the band is bigger and the guitar parts need to be smaller, I will for sure do this. I won't play big bar chords if I've got keyboards and horns playing too. You know, I'll make these chords smaller. So here's what you do. Here's your major chord. Let me change the angle here. Here's the major chord. What you're playing is based on this E shape, but there's also the F shape that's here as well. So let me show you this. If we play just these 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, these bottom 4, that's your F shape. So let me change the fingering around so you can see it. My third finger is going to go here on my root note, on my A. So that's the F shape, just like if you were playing F here, but we take that and we move it. F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Okay? Okay. So now I'm going to play this with the second rhythm. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's how you strip that chord down, just like that. Now, if we're going to strip down the other chord, let's look at this. And you guys will have some options. I'll show you a couple different ways to do that. Okay, so the first way is just to take your third finger and play this part of the triad. Now, we're starting on the 5th right here. It's called the 5th of your scale. Let me move that up. That's on C. Let's go back to D where we're supposed to be. Okay, this is D. Now, instead of playing the root note with it and barring it, I'm just letting that go and I'm playing these. Okay? Now, sometimes that's hard because you've got to miss some strings when you do that. Okay? If you're only playing these 3, you have to make sure that you don't bar across and play this one. That gives you a 5th on top, and it may or may not sound good, just depends on the song. And if you hit this open string by accident, you're going to get that, okay? So you got to make sure if you do this without the root here, you need to make sure that your right hand is really good and you're hitting just the 3 that you intend to hit. Now the other way is to change that fingering to this and put your first finger back a whole step on your first string, okay? And you get that fifth back here on the first string. So you'll have this. So it's basically this chord, but instead of having the root there, we're going to go back here, the first string, this is the fifth, what we call it, and that's for another lesson on music theory for you guys. This first string here, your index finger is going to be back here. So, and that's the chord. That gets moved up 2 frets, and that's your 5 chord now. So you'll have this. Here's your 1 chord, okay? That note, 3rd finger on your 7th fret. That's root, we call that. 3rd, 5th, root, okay? 7th fret, 6th fret, 5th, and 5th, okay? Now when you switch to your D, you'll do this. Take these 3, put them here just like your A shape. Index finger is going to be back here on the first string. When you go to your 5 chord, you're going to move this up, boom, boom, right there, and that's your 5 chord. So now your rhythm goes, let's go back to the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now we can do the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? That's it. So practice that, and I'll have one more thing for you guys when you come back, and this will be fun. So practice it, come back, and we'll take a look at the next thing. Okay, so now, for those of you that are more into like Fishbone, this is going to be a little bit different, because what you're going to do is you're going to speed, for ska rhythms, you're going to take a lot of these reggae type rhythms and speed them up. So what I'm going to do is let's take the F shape of your A chord. Okay, instead of this one, we're going to take this one. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to speed up that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but let's mute the downbeats. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So what I'm doing is I'm letting my fingers off the string so I can hear that chuck on that first beat. Okay, and then I'm pressing the strings for the upbeat. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay, so then you take that rhythm, whatever song you're working on, could be any chords. It doesn't have to be all major either. It could be minor chords too. I'm just using these 1, 4, 5 progressions as an example. But if you take this shape, take that rhythm, and just speed it up, you'll get the ska type sounds that you're looking for. So you would do this. Here it is slow. Let's do slow first, okay? So just stay on A. Okay? So now let's take that and speed it up, okay? So that's that rhythm sped up. Now, if I take, let's say we take that and do a whole progression with it, you can kind of get the same feel, but it's just fast, like a ska thing. So. Okay, so notice at the end I kind of varied it a little bit. Okay, instead of doing that same rhythm through the whole thing, I went 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. Okay, let's try that slow again. I'm on D. Okay, D major. E. Okay, and whenever you're having trouble, sometimes, you know, us guys who teach, we think that what we're doing slow and what we're doing easy is not. So you can always take these things and break them down one chord at a time and then put them together. I tell my personal one-on-one students the same thing. You don't have to take a big progression and get intimidated by it. Take little sections at a time and use it. So you can take the first chord. Just work that until you get it down good. Then your muscle memory kicks in. You're really not even thinking about it. By the time you start speeding up, it sounds cool. So, okay. So that's your basic approach to playing ska. And then the sky's the limit. Once you get used to playing these upbeats real strong and doing the stabs, you'll catch on. It'll be no big deal at all. But that's your basic how to do reggae and ska type rhythms. Just so you can experiment, let me go through some of these other chords in the key. I'll go through the 6 chords in this key so you can practice some other things. We just did 1, 4, 5, but let's look at this. So in the major key, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. Okay, we'll do a little music theory here just so you guys can understand this. So your 1 chord is major, your 2 chord is minor, your 3 chord is minor, 4 chord is major, your 5 chord could be major or 7th chord. We're going to do major for right now. Your 6th chord is minor. Now your 7th chord, see it right here on your 7th chord? Your 7th chord is either diminished or minor 7 flat 5. I almost always use minor 7 flat 5. I don't use diminished as much. So I'm going to use the minor 7 flat 5 chord. I'm playing on my G sharp right here. And then I'm just barring across on the next 3 strings. You could have a progression off of anything that you make up that sounds good to you. Okay, you can throw in minor chords too. It just depends on what your ear likes and what sounds good, and you just kind of go for it, make it work. Let's see if we can try one here. Okay, I'm using this chord. In this case, this is the 6th chord in that key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And it's minor. To the 2 chord. So, 6th chord and then the 2 chord in that key. Okay? Remember, I'm just numbering the notes of the major scale. Okay? And those notes also represent chords as well as individual pitches. So it's major, minor, minor, major, major or 7th, minor, diminished or minor 7 flat 5, back to major. Okay, so I used the 6th chord, and I got mixed up here. 2 chord. There we go. So. Okay, so now that last time what I did was I took the rhythm, used minor chords, and then I kind of Rogerized it. Not exactly, but you guys that have been following this channel for a while, you know that one of my heroes is Roger Troutman. So I always end up putting some percussive things in what I'm playing, and it's directly related to growing up listening to Roger Troutman all the time. So you can do that as well. The sky's the limit. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do this or you can't do that in music, because that's how we got great people, by the rules being broken and them playing what's in their head and introducing that to the world. That's why we have great people. That's why we have Hendrix. That's why we have Bob Marley. That's why we have these great people, because they took the music that was in their head and their heart and they let it out. So as soon as somebody tells you you can't do something, you probably should go do it. Okay. So anyway, so I'm playing reggae, but it's kind of funky and it's kind of bouncy. I'm putting the funk type strumming in it. So let me do it one more time. I'll show you. Okay, so you can see that, like I said before, the sky's the limit. You can do anything with this stuff, and that's the point I always make to you guys with playing. Um, there are really no rules. There are theoretical rules and musical rules that help you understand the language and what's what. But when you're playing, whatever's in your heart and in your head, that's what you got to get out, and that's what you got to do. And 9 times out of 10, that's going to be something cool. If not, at least it'll be cool for you. So, like I said, don't let anybody say you can't do this, you can't do that. Just try it. If it don't work, throw it out. I've always been locked into playing funk stuff, so it makes its way into a lot of things that I do. It's probably the reason why I don't play country that good, because I'm kind of stuck there. But that's okay. That's what I do, and you guys will do other things. There's a lot of guys I know and friends that I have that play country really, really good. So, everybody's got to do their own thing and have their own experience with their music, and that's what you guys need to do too. So, reggae-wise, suggested listening. Everybody knows Bob Marley, so go get some. There's other good bands out there too with good guitar. Steel Pulse. I listen to a lot of Steel Pulse, so go get Steel Pulse. Some of the newer stuff, it'll be mixed, because there's a little hip hop, a little bit of rap mixed in with it. So you might hear more keyboards and electronics and stuff. It just depends. So just go and you can always sample stuff if you're on iTunes or whatever and see if you like it and download it. But the best way to do it is to start listening, get the sound in your head and emulate that. Then, like I always say, you take that, you change it and make it your own and run with it. You don't want to pick up the music that you learn and do the exact same thing and then just leave it there. You got to pick it up, take it where you want it, do your own thing with it, and then let it go. So the next person after you can pick it up and take it to the next place. So, all right, you guys, have fun with reggae. Go out and get some Bob Marley and Steel Pulse, and I'll see you next time.